Hello everyone, and welcome back to Fire Emblem Heroes. Today I'll be talking about the seals that you get from this Tempest Trials, and maybe do a round of it myself. So the first seal we'll be talking about is this wonderful Obstruct seal. Now people have been complaining about it, like, oh yeah, we were rising here, we could have gotten a better seal. But in my opinion, I feel like we could have gotten like something else stupid. Because usually the first seals that you get are like weaker ones. I mean, last time it was what? Poison Strike? Or was it the one before? Either way, they're usually not all that great. And, well, I mean, if we don't get Obstruct, we'll probably would have gotten Pass or something. So I don't see the point in complaining about it. But as for its actual use, is Obstruct really that terrible? Well, in my opinion, it has decent niche use. You could use it to block off a group of enemies, but that's usually something that happens in like Grand Hero battle, but it could see use in situational maps such as rival domains, for instance. Like, oh, you know, you can have one unit keep like half of the enemy groups in check, depending on the map. They may do new maps, you know, in like tomorrow or something. So when that happens, you might see a situation where you could actually block off an entire army with just one guy. Because, say for example, Azama. Azama is really tanky, and now this horrible creature is going to get in the way of other people and go, death comes for everyone, and just keep blasting pain as they hit him in the face. That's what happens with Obstruct, okay? That's what happens. Unless the enemy has passed, they cannot pass! And then they have to deal with Azama all day. But of course, it depends on the map layout. So, it's not an easy skill to use, but I see its potentials. Now, another thing about Obstruct is that it doesn't actually stop the enemy dead. Basically, they have to spend one turn before they can get past you. So, it's not great. But it's useful to control the enemy, because if they have to stop and they can't reach any further, well, they have no choice but to keep attacking your tank. But you have to know how Obstruct works to work. But basically, in most cases, it's just like kind of like an invisible taunt when you think about it. It's kind of funny how it's in like this thing called Invisible Ties, because that's what this is. It's like a good way to control enemy attacks. You need this to keep them from going any further to attacking your squishies. But again, it's only useful on certain situations. The current version of Obstruct, the range is too short. Like one space range is just a little too short. So you can't really use it to control anything bigger than like certain choke points. That's the main flaw with it. But I can see it being a useful skill. You've seen me use this when I was doing the whole Nino emblem versus Blonde Nino and her flying friend Tana. That I use flying Nino to block off an entire section, keeping flyers from going in from the right. That's what this is about. You can use it to block enemies or sift through different enemies. You can so flying Nino is more about tanking physical attack, you know this. Well, most of those guys that are coming in, they just so happens to be physical attackers. So you can use it to sift through different opponents to fight as well. It depends on the map. It's really map dependent, but you can definitely find use for it. Now that I've gone and talked about all that, let's see. So as a seal, how's it compared to actually just getting it on your B slot? Well, when you think about it, tanks usually run what? Mixed tanks usually run what? Like quick repose or something like that? Maybe guard. So you could, in theory, you can run a guard, and then you can run Obstruct in a seal. But usually Grand Hero battle skills are kind of like, your tanks usually can handle it. Guard is kind of like one thing that you don't really care for, because after you get hit once, again reduced below, was it 80% health for guard 3, it stops working. So there's that. Of course, that's the same thing with quick repose. After you get reduced to 70, that's that. So maybe like renewal or something like that might be a little bit better. But of course, it also depends on the tank. I mean, like, for instance, Flying Nino, when she she's tanky. Not only is she tanky, but when she hits people, she heals. So the other B skills can still come in handy. It's a very useful skill to have on a seal, in my opinion, because those B skills that you could have otherwise gotten. I mean, you could use Quick Repose as a seal slot as well. I mean, maybe you can use this to run 2 people who could do similar things. Then you can have 2 DPSs do, I don't know, do different things while these tanks are just keeping the enemies from coming. You could, for instance, like block off melee attackers and then have one of your range guys shoot them in the face. You can block off range attackers until with the other tank to keep them from coming for a little bit, and basically just wait until you can clean them out later. That's what I think is good. Good uses of Obstruct. You can also use this to maintain 2 different tanks that uses a specific B slot. But anyway, now that I've gone and talked all about Obstruct, let's move on to the next one now. So next is Ploy. Ploy on a seal slot is pretty decent, but that's mainly for, I think, people who specializes in debuffing. I just pulled a Sonya recently. I'm still considering just sacrificing it to Jenny. See, one of the things about it being on a C slot is that usually a C slot is kind of like supportive and whatnot, but ploys are the main difference between these things. You can actually use ploy offensively, kind of like threaten, but threaten is really terrible. You have to wait 1 turn and everything for the enemy to sit down. Not so for ploys. So the thing with these things is that it allows, say, Jenny to do extra damage without anyone else's help. And so this is kind of a tool similar to Obstruct, now that I think about it, for solo clears and whatnot. Of course, I mean, you could also just use it to support your friends and whatnot as well, but in my book, it's for solo clearing. You slap it on Jenny, Jenny looks at something, people got scared, and then Jenny's all of a sudden does 5 extra damage. And when it comes to Jenny, okay, she does so much damage, and if she uses Absorb, she just sucks and sucks, and anytime you do damage to her, she just sucks it right back. It's an absolutely deplorable and disgusting setup, and I should do it in one of these quick Grand Hero battles, just to show you how disgusting that is. But I'm still trying to decide whether to sacrifice Sonya or not, because, you know, she is, well, she's kind of hot, and she has big boobs, but, you know, I don't know if I want to develop another character at this time. I have got enough characters. But anyway, as a seal slot, though, the main problem on a seal slot is that there's so many useful skills you'd rather have in your seal slot. There's just only going to be more. Currently, you know, for soloing, there's close defense, distant defense, and then there are like quick riposte, so you can combo with different techniques, like say renewal and quick riposte on Jenny, so that after she sucks something, she heals again. That kind of horrible business. So as a seal slot, it's better to use it on someone like, oh, I don't know, like Arvis, for instance. Arvis does his ploys, and now you can use him. Wait a minute, no, he's always got res ploy. Okay, well, basically, someone else could use res ploy and another ploy on a C slot. Someone with high res, like Riss, for instance. That's how you use it. You can use him as support and whatnot, and just Riss can just go and point his bald head at people and go, "Shining bald head!" And then all of a sudden they lose a whole bunch of stats, and someone like Gunthra will be very pleased to walk up there and just bust her skull open. That's pretty much what happens with stuff like this on a seal slot, so that you could ploy a little bit more. Okay, now that I have gone and went on details on that one, let's talk about dev tactics. Okay, so dev tactic. I love this skill. I love tactics. I love mixed teams. I love tactics. Now, one of the things that you could use with this is that you can obviously have a specific character on a mixed team that gives, oh, I don't know, dev tactics and attack tactics at the same time, or like dev and res tactics at the same time. since res tactics is very easy to come by thanks to La Rochelle. So one of the things I've been thinking about using it is mixing it on, say, a flyer, for instance, a strong flyer, like someone who does a chunk of damage, say Spring Bulbasaur's Rex. So you give her like Dev Tactic Seal or Res Tactic C slot or something like that, since most of her damage comes from the stupid blade anyway. You can probably one-shot things for the most part. So instead, you just go and slap those two things as her C slot and CO, and she provides Dev and Res to the rest of the team. So then you can have another person give Attack Tactics and Speed Tactics when that comes out, and that is great. But what's most beautiful is that you could, say, run Erika, or Erica for people who are not brain damaged. You can run her along with this stupid tactics army, and then all of a sudden, not only does the whole army gain these buffs, but she herself gained this emblem buff, and additional stats on top of it. It's really, really disgusting how Erica's weapon is kind of just absorbs and copies other people's stats and turns it into battle stats rather than actual bonuses like this, like field buffs. That's what I should have called them. So she doesn't get them as field buffs, you get them as battle buffs, and then you add field buffs on top of that. So she turns into an amazing monster thanks to this. And Dev Tactics is one of those things that can turn a mixed team into a really, really lethal combination. So Dev Tactics is definitely one of those things that I've been looking forward to. I can't wait until other seals come by, like Speed Tactics or something like that, or just the actual skill itself. So with this also, I could make my healer teams better. 2 cavalry healers, 2 infantry healers, no problem. I can run tactics on a team like that. And the main problem with healers is that their devs are kind of low. Well, with this, all of a sudden they gain 6, so that's kind of scary. That's kind of scary, okay? The healers with Dev is a very scary thing, because I've talked about Absorbed earlier, right? So if you don't do enough damage to them, well, they end up sucking more health than you do damage to them. It is an extremely, extremely undesirable situation for certain people. It will give them brain damage, and that is what Dev Tactics can do. Anyway, so now that I have gone and spoke about all these wonderful seals, let us begin the journey of Tempest Trials, shall we? So I've taken 2 units. I've taken Cherche and I've taken Olivia, and they'll have backup in the form of Sheep Path and Qualm. Now, Sheep Path's about to reach 4,000 HM, so I definitely need to go and get that wrapped up. So that's why I brought her along. And Qualm is kind of low on HM, and I also need to go and work on him a little bit. Besides, this whole setup now is just all about brave weapons with Death Blow and whatnot, and just utterly crushing an enemy on player phase. So with Cherche, I think that Drag Back is pretty good. I mean, you could use the Brave Desperation setup, but in maps that are kind of like, you have to live by attrition, you might even take a hit, it's a little risky. I prefer using Drag Back so that when I kill someone, she gets ejected out from like an ATM, and she just comes back, and then you can just withdraw her from enemy attacks. I like that better. But anyway, without further ado, let's go and do a round of that. I'll rant about stupid things, and then we'll call it a day with that. So let's see, the first map we have Julia, Nino, Nancool, and Carol. So it's already pretty bad for Cherche to walk out, but perhaps Cherche could do enough damage to, just one round Carol, no problem. Whoop, boom, boom. That's the main strength of Cherche. You really should just get her with brave attacks. I mean, you could use the slaying hammer thing, but it's honestly not all that great. This is probably the best setup for her, since she has so much attack. Though running her quad is also very good, but I prefer doing that in arena settings, not something with attrition like this. Alright, now come and hit me, Lan Cool. What? And now you have 10 health, and Julia's coming this way. Julia's actually gonna hurt a little bit because my arm is set up to just do chunks of damage.
This ends here.
So as you can see, I just used Dragon Fang, or I prefer to call it Lion's Roar.
Sure.
But anyway, he's built to do tons and tons of damage. However, his defenses suffer for it.
All right.
But you know what? I think that life and death is still the most preferred option for me.
I'm here.
Because if he does get hit, his speed is so high that he's not likely to get doubled. And he's more likely to survive that way rather than, 5 extra death and res. Yeah, once he gets doubled, it doesn't quite matter. Anyway, let's go and run Cherche over and just hammer Julia. Oh, I should have healed first. Oh well. And hammer Julia in the head like this and call it a day. Alright. Now, time for the second battle. Second battle involving Cherche herself. And Robin, and Lincia, Lolly Latches. Okay, now let's use this opportunity to display the terror that is Jenny. Sheep Path attack! Boom, boom. And now Cherche's dead, and pain has been spread across the map. So another wonderful thing about Jenny that I'm also doing is Speed Ploy. You've seen me use her before with Speed Ploy. That is disgusting. Speed Ploy is also very illegal. So right now, Jenny has 36 speed. But once Speed Ploy is applied, she might as well have 41 speed. It's disgusting. It makes me sick. And with that, she's much harder to kill. And with Brazen Attack Dev, she becomes even harder to kill. And if you can't kill her, she might even double you. If she doubles you, you will experience a new world of pain. That's, my friend, it's the most disgusting setup I've ever seen. Anyway, let me go and heal up and move on with my life here. When getting arm ready, we'll get our brave attackers on standby so that when the enemy gets a little closer, we'll beat them over the head. Ooh, solid Earth Bomb. That's actually not very good to deal with. That makes me hit a little bit weaker. So let me think for a second here.
Minerva.
I suppose I should be able to do it. I mean,
All right.
Qualm is he's a little bit overbearing. And of course, Cherche also has Bonfire already, so rest in pieces!
Sure.
And I'll just bust open this wall, and I'll Elincia will experience Qualm, but unfortunately, she already dies in the second hit. So, if that is the case, why run Qualm? Well, there are enough targets out there that can survive 2 hits, but can they survive any further attacks? Probably not, except if you're a really bulky blue, but this build has another setup where you could defeat blues, and you've already seen it. It's the Lion's Roar. So it's a very disgusting and brain damage setup that makes me sick to my stomach. Let me go and beat Latches to death and use it again.
This ends here.
Lion's Roar! And then like a huge chunk of damage just gets dealt. Huge chunk of neutral, non-elemental damage is dealt to the enemy, and then their head explodes. That is the power behind Qualm. Of course, I recently pulled an attack one from
Shall we?
one of those banners. So I'm thinking about, from Falchion banners, so I'm thinking about maybe using the attack one, but probably not. I'll probably stick with his speed. I'm also going to do a showcase of him at some point. I kind of been distracted the last couple of days.
Leave it to me.
Especially since I pulled the attack one. And when I pulled the attack one, I suffered a little bit of brain damage. I'm trying to decide whether to build that instead. Anyway, Claire, why don't you go and become Qualm? You may have survived 2 hits, but what about this? So that's one of the situations where Qualm comes in handy. And you know what? If she survives, she gets a 4th extremely powerful hit, and then her head explodes. So Qualm is not to be messed with. He is an extremely powerful setup that I build, and I intend to showcase him at some point. Of course, there are weaknesses, but
Leave it to me.
oh, well, let me just spike Hinoka to death real quick first.
This ends here.
Lion's Roar! Hinoka's head explodes. Now we can move on.
So,
Alright, Florina can actually tank this, but not a second assault. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna use Jenny to do. Ha! You may think that. Well, I give you some pain, and then a second round of barrage will be enough to take you
I hope
out.
my death. Here I
Take
go.
you out. Na, 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 na. Boom. There. See, no more Florina. She's dead. Killed by Sheep Path. Alright, now the next map, we have Blanino. We have Oscar, Elder Toguro. There's Mist with Obstruct, okay? Mist is an interesting character. I've heard people wanting me to build her, but I don't know. I feel like I highly doubt I will pull enough of her because she's 5-star exclusive and much harder to get than, say, Don't Buy Clarine. And Don't Buy Clarine is on my radar for a next one, perhaps.
So,
Alright, Elder Toguro will die in a second attack, so we will do that. Bring on the pain!
okay.
And then we will get a Sheep Path to go
Sure.
and rip them to shreds. Though maybe I should just call him Gourmet, because Elder Toguro has cooled down a lot since the last battle. Now he's back to being regular old Virian. Of course, if you haven't seen my brain damage videos, you have no idea what I'm talking about. That's perfectly okay, because these things I say are outside the realm of normal people thinking. Because I have severe brain damage. Now let me go and chop up Mist to death and move on.
So,
Then I will heal that 5 damage. I mean, why not?
alright.
And then we will just wait for Blanino to come down. Or move over here. Alright, let's check the damage. Alright. Now, Jenny will rip you to shreds. Oh, you think your sacred cow can save you? Well, that's not gonna, because we have Olivia here. Olivia here is gonna make Jenny move again, and then Jenny will Sheep Path you to death. Blanino. See, now you've just seen some kind of Nino battle where Blanino was destroyed by Sheep Nino. There's a horrible thing that you've just witnessed. Now let us move on. Olivia is such a strong character. I mean, she's just a regular old dancer, but she's a free-to-play character. It's like, every time I see, like, some kind of free-to-play build, guess who I see? I see Olivia's face, as usual, like, It's kind of amusing, because
So, Minerva.
that's her face. That's her entire face. She's just like, that, I see that horrible face all the time when I see someone post like a free-to-play thing. You see all these heroes, they're like happy or confident or whatnot, and then you see this face just on the side. And yeah, that's your standard free-to-play fare. You have a guy that,
Alright.
ooh, I can chop Selena Miku to death, but then afterwards I can't do that with Hector unless I wait a turn. This is actually a little more awkward than I thought. How should I do this? I have an idea. Alright, idea has been developed. Now, take this, Selena Miku! Quam! Alright, now the real question is, do I heal enough?
so.
I probably will. Oh, but wait, no, maybe my idea is... Well, actually... No,
Okay.
I don't know. Well, maybe I should just throw it
Minerva.
out. Yeah, that's what I'll do.
Alright.
I'll just throw them out, no problem.
I'll do. Here I go.
Yeah, thinking about it, maybe not. It's too risky. I'll just do this. Would not want to
Shall we?
die or anything. Now, if I was using a stupid hammer, I would take him
Quite
out. But
so.
still, I do a chunk of damage, considering that this is like a super boosted Hector with 69 HP. If
Minerva.
it was a regular one, I might have killed him. So let's go and just chill here or something. Alright.
Sure. Shall we?
Let's toss Jenny over
Here I
here.
go.
Jenny heals Alm to full.
Sure.
And now we're
Leave it
going
to
to
me.
teach Hector. Oh, wow, he can survive. Oh, worry fight. Oh my god, worry fight on Hector. What the hell is this?
Alright.
That's the one problem with Quam. If there are situations where he cannot dup or quad, well, that happens.
Sure.
I'm still gonna rip him to shreds, but
I hope.
oh, now that I think about it though, that's actually kind of worrisome. Wouldn't Jenny kill me then?
it to me.
Let me think for a second here. So Jenny here does 51 damage. 19. Yeah, my head would explode if I do that. I better think of another way. Okay, alright. If I do this, then... Ugh. Well, Hector will probably go forward, and he'll probably block the way, so we should be okay.
Alright.
I'm really hoping that's the case. No, wait, no. Jenny could just go forward. What am I even thinking? Like, what kind of brain damage am I thinking? Well, I'm just gonna roll over and die. Good day. I did not think this one through!
Quite so.
Oh my god! Oh my god! It hurts so much! Well, we have no choice but to employ Cherche to do this. That's the one problem that with Qualm that could have easily been solved if I have plus attack. So, there are situations where plus attack is far more useful. So, I'm still working the kinks on finishing the build. But then again, it's only a +1 Qualm. If I had him at +10, none of this would be even a problem. It's basic. When it comes to characters that you plan on +10ing, you have to
Minerva.
plan according to that. I tend to not like doing serious super overkills unless the build kind
Quite
of
so.
did it.
Alright.
But for the most part, though, my builds, I like to focus on doing enough damage.
Here I go.
But, yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, that Hector was one thing, okay? Most characters would just get killed. But that Hector was one thing. His stats was so boosted. Oh my god, bro, that was so stupid of me. What the hell was I thinking?
Sure.
Like, what was I even thinking? I'm, like, suffering so much brain damage right now. I don't even know what I'm doing. And I'm making, like, crucial mistakes that I shouldn't make. Alright, okay, alright. Let's see here. What do I do now? This is actually also kind of awkward. This is actually also a very awkward situation because,
Sure.
Olivia might be able to survive, but probably not. Because what will end up happening is Lissa might attack Olivia, and triggering another Fury, and then, well, Tana will take her out then. So, how about something like this then? Yeah! Oh my god. The first time I heard her horrible sound was she attacks with that face of hers. It is terrifying. At least Tana won't be able to participate in this battle, so if George decides to attack, that's great. Well, he's gonna go and kill himself on... Well, no, probably not, because I don't think my pain does enough damage. But still, he won't be able to kill Jenny, and that's all I really could ask for. And rehabilitate, of course. Okay, more pain. Tana still won't be able to attack, and this will bring her down to 1. A little unfortunate, but that's how it needs to be done. That's one of these situations where Res Boy would be a lot more useful. But, well, you can say that for a lot of things, honestly. Like, with plus attack on Qualm, you know, that one specific situation was where it could have been useful. But in other situations, oh wait, what am I even thinking? She can't do any damage to Jenny, so it's okay. In other situations, it's like, hey, wait, what's going on? Are they running away? Are you serious? Bitch. Alright, okay, alright, you want to be like this? Let's stand by first. I'm gonna heal up and use this opportunity to use Martyr to heal Jenny up. So now, wait. Okay, so here comes the situation. Now let's go and move out like this. Cherche will obliterate Tana, hopefully, even with her... Yep, definitely. Even with her 7 dev on her spear wasn't enough to take, well, the extreme damage that Cherche has to put out. And then we just go and kill Lissa with this. Boom. And I'm sure she's only like a 40+0, but she's been very helpful for me since I developed her back then. I built her, like, way back, like, when I started playing this game, because I could see her potential even back then. So, with such a high attack on Brave Weapon, you have basically the earliest incarnation of That's what this is. Anyway, I have a bit of a problem here. Can I kill you? Okay, I can do that. I can do this. And then I think... Oh, look at those cute wings you've got there. So cute. And then I think what happened is that Idra shouldn't be able to kill... Jenny. And Robin, well, him being so fat and useless, he's gonna take a little bit before he can get here. And before then, he's already gonna suffer extreme amounts of pain. I brought Alm along to take care of Robin, but it appears that, you know, my team can probably handle that.
Shall we?
Alright, so you see Deirdre over here. If my Cherche were to finish killing Matthew here, she's gonna be dead in the water. But not if I have this horrible skill. Now, Matt, prepare to die! Now I'm gonna withdraw her from the ATM like this. There, now she's moved backwards, and now the only person that can fight her is Minerva! How ironic, Cherche versus Minerva. This actually is as ironic as it gets. Deirdre can't do enough damage to Jenny, and now look at her face when she realized this. She's like, oh, what have I done? Why did I anger the sheep path? Well, now that you've made that horrible mistake, it's time to wipe you out. Attack! Jenny, a terrifying character. Alright, now move on the sheep path again. See, I'd never really even needed Alm in the first place. Because sheep path by herself is an extremely disgusting and powerful opponent. And now, our wonderful friend has been reduced to 26 health. He's got a face of disgust after getting hit by pain over and over and over again. He's wondering what the hell was going on. He may have a ton of stats, but it doesn't really matter because the sheep path doesn't care.
Shall we?
Now we're gonna finish you off with Cherche. Let's go! Now I'm gonna ride Minerva into battle. I have defeated her, turn her into my... It's snack time, Minerva! Die! So I turned Minerva into my Wyvern. I rode her into Robin, and then I had Minerva eat Robin. That's what happened. That is what's canon now. This is what really happens. And that is how Awakening comes to an end. This is what really happens. This is what really happens in Fire Emblem Awakening, okay? This is real story. This is not fake. This is 100% real. Okay, so now that you've seen me do this brain damage Tempest Trials and hopefully receive brain damage of your own, let's call it a day. I'm looking to go and do more maps because I had to take a couple days off. One, I had a promise with my friend to play Monster Hunter, so I wanted to do that. And two, I was getting a lot of work, so I was kind of like, you know, I come back home, I'm tired. I'm like, hey, screw it. I'm not gonna stare at my cell phone and talk for like 20-30 minutes about my Tempest Trials experience. If people want to know about Obstruct seals, they'll come. I don't care about, you know, views just because, you know, I had it on the first day. That's for someone else. That's for other YouTubers. Me, I just post whenever I want, whenever I can. Of course, sometimes I do get to do it like on the day of release, like even the first hour, but you know, that's generally something that I do when I can. I am thinking about maybe quitting that job and just going one job for a bit, because I'm honestly making more money than I even need. I'm just like, what am I even doing? At first, I needed this money, but then I don't. Things changed, and well, but out of loyalty, I decided to stick around. Loyalty, right, me. But yeah, I decided to stick around, and well, I'm still there, but I am getting a little tired. I like to game a little more before I really become old, especially if I were to be like my friend who has a kid and all that. And he's old, he's finished, he's done. Finished. No way can he play games for, well, sit down and properly play games for a very long time. Maybe until they grow up or something. At least when they grow up with a decent, gain a couple decent levels. Maybe then he can actually leave him alone. But right now, right now he's so busy taking care of them because, yeah, it's like, 3 a.m. in the morning. And then he's like, oh, god damn it, dude. Why does this happen? What did I do wrong? So that's something I want to avoid happening for as long as possible. It has to happen at some point, but I want to avoid doing it for a little bit. Because right now I'm already getting enough brain damage just from actually working. So when that comes, oh yeah, I'm quitting. I'm quitting most jobs. I'm going to just leave like one job and just... I might not even be able to play games anymore. I would be very sad. But that's the bridge that we cross when we get there. Another thing is that I'm also getting a little bit burnt out from Fire Emblem Heroes. I am not gonna lie. I mean, you do the same thing like all the time. It gets tiring. So I started playing other games for a little bit. I'm actually thinking about maybe picking up Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links or Fate Grand Order. I'm not sure about either one of them at the moment. If you know how good they are free to play, let me know. I mean, I probably will end up spending a little bit of money along the side, but maybe not. I don't know. It doesn't really matter, honestly. Free to play or not, it really doesn't matter. I mean, for some people, maybe, but they've got brain damage. When I say, oh yeah, I'm summoning free to play orbs, psst, like I give a damn. I don't give a shit about that. I'm just doing it so that people who apparently has a hard-on for free-to-play would come and see me be like, oh, you didn't use all the orbs, or quote-unquote free-to-play orbs. Yeah, okay, dude. None of you guys who quote-unquote free-to-play ever knew how to save orbs. God damn it, you guys. It's like, I see people ask me, how did you save all these free-to-play orbs? Oh, these are not free-to-play orbs. Yeah, guys, if you can actually save orbs for like just 1 month, you'll realize that there's actually a lot of free-to-play orbs floating around. This game is very generous. That is one of the main reasons why I started spending in the first place, because I felt, oh, this game is generous. I should support this game. Of course, you know, after the whole era thing happened, I was kind of skeptical about that. But for the most part, this game has been generous. I kind of regret spending money for that reason, because I could have easily played through the entire game without, well, spending money. But then again, if I'd done that, I wouldn't have been able to do the 6 Paths of Pain Plus, because that's rich people's toys. I'm not saying it, you know, just to show off or anything, but that's just how it is. You know, these toys are, to get all these toys for so many healers, it's expensive. So, you know, that's just how it is. So, you know, in a way I'm glad, in a way I'm not. But that's pretty much it for my little ranting period. So, if you guys are still here for some stupid reason and listen to this rant, well, now you know a little bit more about me. Anyway, so that's pretty much it. I thank you all for watching. Until next time.